And why? I would say why.
Because Trump started a completely unnecessary trade war.
No, I'm just talking about when he was first elected, when he was inaugurated.
What about it?
What we're discussing is that should the economy that before Barack Obama left office, the stock market. We were specifically just talking about the stock market, not the economy as a whole. Even although unemployment was very low, the stock market, which was going up under President Obama, in fact, increased by 33% by the time he was
over 8 years.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, he might have brought it up, but Trump
Trump's at what 26% in 13 months.
Yeah, but you said that. But you said you originally said that the stock market was doing poorly under Barack Obama, and that proved you wrong.
Who said that? I didn't say that.
Once he was elected.
Not you.
He said Trump made it better.
I never said it was doing poorly. I said the day he was elected, it set records.
You said the stock market was doing bad under Barack Obama.
I probably said it was shitty. I don't use doing
it's
bad.
Still, it's the same difference. It's the same thing. You said it was doing poorly under Barack Obama.
He's too fucking educated.
But that wasn't the case. And what we're trying to get at is that should the president that just been inaugurated be credited?
Who is making all that background noise? Okay.
So what we're getting at is should the president that just been elected be credited with the previous president's economy?
No.
Oh, there we go. Then you agree with me?
Yeah.
That's where they was getting at. That Trump should be credited with President Barack Obama's economy, like soon after he was inaugurated.
Okay, but hold on. I would say this: that the reaction of the stock market to Trump's election was a response to his election that was positive initially. I don't think people initially dreamed he would be quite as incredibly awful as he is, but shit happens.
I mean, you're talking about the confidence of the economy can increase based on the politics of the president.
Well, I mean,
being elected.
Dude, that's all the stock market is.
It's just people's understandings of how certain things that they can read and know about impact the financial destinies of the various resources in which they're invested.
All right.
So at first, people believed that Trump was going to be good for the economy. Now people understand that he started a trade war, an unnecessary trade war, and that's bad for the economy because, of course, protectionist policies trying to protect American labor are crazy and bad.
Now, you say that the America protecting its domestic trade industries is bad, but the countries that we trade with, most of the countries that we trade with, protect theirs. So why we have to be the village
idiots? Hold on. Why do you think Trump killed the economy or is hurting it? Why do you think Washington that Trump has hurt the economy?
I didn't say that. I just said that I thought his trade.
You pointed out the stock market's down under Trump overall compared to Obama, right?
No, I said that it was increasing under Barack Obama, and Trump stepped into that.
Okay, but is the stock market better off under Trump or Obama overall?
No, but right now it's steadily going up, still going up under Trump. It's doing fine.
Okay,
I didn't have any argument against that.
Okay,
I can't debate.
But listen, right now, is the stock market reacting well to the global trade war or poorly?
I would say not so good.
Okay, the thing is, it doesn't matter to me what the stock market's doing right now or not. I can tell, in my opinion, that shit's going to go down because Trump has really terrible economic policies regarding trade. Free trade is definitely preferable.
His way of going about it might be wrong, but I like the idea that we're finally doing something about free trade, which has hurt the American economy for years.
What? How? What? So you don't like it that I can sell things to people overseas?
And take away good paying jobs from Americans?
Wait, Washington, you don't like that I can sell things to people overseas?
And take good paying jobs from Americans?
How am I taking? Wait, I can't. Wait, hold on. How does me selling something to someone overseas take an American job?
Well, not
That's
only
fucked
they
up,
sell
man.
to people
That's so
overseas, they
bad.
take the entire business and
No, but
offshore
hey,
it to
but
other
Washington,
countries.
I'm asking you. I've sold things to people overseas, like people living in England and stuff. Should
I
I
don't know. I hear you. I
should
heard
I
you.
not be able to do that?
You can do that. We encourage exports. What I don't encourage is companies uprooting their facilities and offshoring it to cheap labor countries,
What
and
if
then selling that product back.
hold on, but what if these countries put like a $50 tariff on my things and nobody buys it anymore?
They already put a tariff. It's called a VAT tax, or some countries just the tariff. They already protected domestic industries. Try to sell a Ford truck into
Okay,
Japan.
but I'm not selling Ford trucks. Most people aren't.
What I'm saying is that Japan, along with other countries, actually have a version of a tariff. I think Japan just have
Okay,
high
but
tariffs on
I'm asking you, how does it help
imports.
the economy to prevent me from selling things internationally?
No,
Actually, what Obama
I'm
did,
not talking about
what Obama
exports.
did,
We encourage
Oh,
exports.
but you can't have
What
it
we
both
don't
ways. You
encourage,
can't have it both
well,
ways,
I don't
Washington.
encourage.
You can't have it
Yes, we
both.
can, because
No, Washington. If we put tariffs on imports, guess what else happens?
our jobs start coming back. And if they
what
don't want
Obama,
to come back, I will miss
No,
them very much.
Washington. No, Washington. What's the correct answer to the question? What happens when we put tariffs on other people when they export their goods to us? We put a tariff on it. What happens? What do they do in return?
They will,
They will.
quote unquote, increase it would be a trade
They'll
war.
put it. Yeah, they'll put a
They
tariff
would be
back on us.
more,
Okay,
they would
so
be way more
when that
protectionist.
tariff prevents me from hiring an American because I can't sell products nearly as much of a profit because the tariffs make my products unaffordable for people overseas, then how does that help America save jobs?
Well, it hasn't, because our jobs been shipped
No, I'm
overseas
asking you
already,
no, but listen, when I can't sell overseas and I'm not able to hire those 2 or 3 extra people, how does that help preserve American jobs?
Well, the jobs stay here in the United
Well,
States.
but
That
what jobs?
facility that
What jobs? I'm talking. There no longer
that
are any jobs. They couldn't afford to hire them anymore. Remember?
we keep the wealth
Well,
and the jobs in this
Washington.
country.
But I'm just asking you a specific question. When I cannot afford to hire those 2 or 3 people I was planning on hiring because the tariffs gone up and have cut my sales internationally a lot, so I can no longer hire those people here in America to help me mail them over there. Help me
They're
mail
not
them.
hiring them.
I
I heard
can't
you say
hire
that
them.
they're not hiring Americans. They're
Oh,
hiring cheap labor
who's
employees in
hiring?
China.
Who?
These facilities that
Chinese
offshore
people?
the yeah they
China.
No,
offshore the
but what
company
about
to cheap
me? But what
labor.
about me? I'm
You
selling.
are that business.
Okay,
You are that
but
business.
listen, I do sell things to people overseas. What happens if the tariffs drop my overseas business enough that I can no longer hire a couple people I was planning on hiring to help me because volume got high, let's say?
Oh, is this a hypothetical, or you sell stuff
Hey,
overseas?
well, you're talking to me about what you call offshoring, okay?
Yeah, the business, the corporation.
Right. Do you know the difference between offshoring and outsourcing?
You have to remind me. When you uproot the company and move it to a different company and sell the finished goods back to the main country that it originally came from, what is that called?
Wait, say it again.
If you uproot your company in the United States, let's say Hewlett Packard, who make printers. They used to make the printers here in the United States, pay the employees here in the United States. All right, so now we dropped our tariffs that prevented them or discouraged them from going overseas in the first place to like 30% to 2%. They take that Hewlett Packard printing company to China and set up shop there and hire Chinese employees for pennies an hour. What is that called?
That's called cheap computers.
No, I thought that was called outsourcing.
Oh, that would be called that would be called offshoring, I guess. The thing is, here's the deal. The problem with the whole outsourcing offshoring thing is, let's say I have a division of my company that markets internationally in Europe, and I want to sell to the Yugoslavian market, and I need to open a branch in Yugoslavia. Naturally, much of the work I'm going to do needs to involve people who speak Yugoslavian to Yugoslavians, and I should be expected to be able to hire people there, right? If it's just to sell my stuff in Yugoslavia, isn't that a good thing for an American company to do, to expand to Yugoslavia, to open a business in Yugoslavia, hire Yugoslavians? Is that not a good thing for them to do?
In the free trade world, that's fine.
Okay,
but we're not going off.
Okay, but if my company has if my company has a chance to succeed in Yugoslavia or fail, if you're going to require me to hire only Americans to work in Yugoslavia in a company that I'm operating in Yugoslavia for the purpose of marketing my American-made goods in Yugoslavia, do you expect me to hire only Americans for that job or not?
Oh, where did your company originate from?
The company originated here in Los Angeles, California. We sell nationally here, but we know that Yugoslavians have a particular taste for this variety of croissant that we make.
And you can export from the main from the
I know, because the thing is, I'm exporting bread products, okay? And the Yugoslavians are used to purchasing bread products same day only, fresh. They're insistent about it. It's a big part of their culture.
That would be a logical trade.
Note here that's how I do it here in America as well. Same day fresh only. It's one of our mottos. It's part of our business model. So I'm going to run the same business model over there. Now, do I need to run that by you and the other government officials first to make sure that it's okay that I hire some locals? What do you think the Yugoslavians are going to say if I won't hire any Yugoslavians to work for my company? Will they want to buy my product at all? Am I not allowed to expand internationally or not?
You're allowed to expand, but first of all, shipping perishable product like bread to a country on the opposite side is stupid. But
that's not why we're not doing it.
Yeah, that's why we don't do it. But let's say if it's some other product that that makes sense. I don't know.
Okay, but who decides which products are allowed to expand overseas?
Well, no, we want to expand overseas. The government want to incentivize companies to expand.
Do Americans have to hire only Americans when expanding overseas?
I would like so. Yes, I'm very protectionist.
Okay, so if in fact that's going to guarantee the company fails and not be able to expand overseas,
it's not going to fail because it hasn't failed before because we used to do it. Other countries are doing it today.
Hold on. You're telling me that I can go into Yugoslavia and without hiring any local experts on the Yugoslavian market who know anything about Yugoslavia's culture, who don't even speak Yugoslavian, I have to bring a bunch of Americans
over. You're talking about uprooting the company and doing so. I'm not for that.
I'm not talking about uprooting the company. I'm talking about expanding.
Oh, so we keep the jobs here. We keep the company here, but
I have a branch in Yugoslavia. Do I have to hire only Americans?
That's fine. No, you're right. I agree.
You can hire. Are you talking about the manufacturing
or whatever nationality?
Okay, so in that I can.
If you want,
I can hire foreign nationals if I'm opening a branch in another country, right?
But if you want to send products back here to the United States, you're gonna get hit with a 25-30% tariff.
Okay, let's say I don't want to get hit with a tariff. Okay, now let's say
too bad.
Let's say I want to have somebody in Canada do my phone bank answering for my business because should I be forced to hire Americans?
If you want somebody in Canada to do your telemarketing?
No, to answer phones and take messages and whatever and relay it back to me. They do it really well. I like the way they do it. I like the way they say oot and a boot, and so that's why I'm having them do it.
They're very polite.
Is that okay?
I don't like it.
Keep in mind the jobs don't exist
yet. That's different from making a product and selling it. That's a little different. I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay, well,
Can I jump in for a sec?
I got one more question for Washington, and I'll let you jump in. What if I want to save this business because we have like 500 American employees, but if I don't dramatically reduce labor costs somewhere, the whole business is going to go under. It's like Sears or something, for example. Now, if I want to outsource my phone answering bank for Sears now to Canada as well because it's cheaper and it will allow me to stay open and keep those other jobs available for those Americans, is that okay?
Offshoring those phone companies to other...
The phone work because, listen, it's either that. You got two choices. Either we offshore the phones to save substantially on labor costs so we can keep the American laborers we do have and stay open, or we go bankrupt. Your choice.
Very small percent of...
Well, this is that situation. So which one's it going to be? You're going to cost those 500 American jobs. You're going to cost those 500 American jobs. Washington?
I would discourage it, but it's different from shipping products back and forth. It's not
Okay,
really
so
a
you don't
trade
really have
thing.
any principle at all. All right, go
No, I
ahead,
do. I
Garrett.
just told you.
Go
No,
ahead.
but it's we were talking about products.
Yeah,
People.
who makes all these
If you,
exceptions? Who decides on all these exceptions?
we do.
Who? You?
We the people. Yeah, we the people.
Okay,
Not just
and
we, but we collectively.
you're advocating that we collectively impose massive restraints on everybody because you think it's going to help preserve American jobs.
I don't think I know because we had.
How?
And it's
How do
being
you
done
know?
today.
How do you know?
Ever since Alexander Hamilton
Give me some
his
evidence
34,
that in fact tariffs will preserve American jobs. Give me some evidence.
We had a tariff.
The fact that it's worked before is not evidence that it will work again.
Let me finish. We had an average tariff rate of between 25% and 30%, all the way up to the 1980s when Reagan started dismantling our trade deals, and Bill Clinton went further with that, and Barack Obama and Bush went further with that also. We kept our companies in the United States and incentivized them to make products in the United States, also the wealth in the United States and jobs and etc., by putting taxes on imports. That's why they did not go overseas.
Who did this?
They prefer
Who
to.
did this?
It'd be cheaper.
But who?
It'd be cheaper to make.
Let me finish. Who? Who?
We're talking about the corporation.
No, I'm talking about which administration or whatever. Who? Repeat the name of the president. I didn't hear it. Repeat it, please.
The presidents that started,
or the time period or something. What time are you talking?
The 1980s, 90s, and 2000s.
And so what happened then?
The trade deals, the big ones is NAFTA, GATT Accords. Those were the very big ones that really fucked us over.
And so how did it fuck us over? What happened bad again?
Well, we got involved with trade with other countries in these trade deals that lower our tariffs.
And so what's the bad thing you're attributing to that?
It's just our jobs. The bad thing is the effect is jobs being lost in America. Thousands of manufacturing jobs. Used to pay well, highly unionized.
Okay, and what's the current unemployment rate?
Yeah, our unemployment rate is low, but the good paying jobs, our manufacturing jobs, what kept wealth in the country.
And what is your link? What's your link between this and NAFTA?
That is the link. That our
what's
good
the link
paying jobs.
No, there needs to be a warrant that explains why it is you think NAFTA caused this phenomenon.
The trade deals in general cost a hollowing out of America's cities.
So?
Because it has happened.
No, Washington. It may be true that NAFTA has happened and the jobs thing that you're talking about has happened. That might be the case, okay? But you need to establish a link showing that the reason the job things happened is because of the NAFTA stuff. You haven't established that yet. So what's your link?
No, you want me to provide a source?
No, your link, your reason for why it is that you believe NAFTA is responsible for this phenomenon.
Because what NAFTA did is destroy our tariffs by lowering it to an insignificant amount, which incentivized companies to go to cheap labor countries.
And you think that's why we have what? We have fewer manufacturing jobs? Is that why
we have the wealth that we create in this country gets sucked out and go straight to China or these other countries and don't stay here where it stimulate our economy. So we not only
and so you think that's why that's
bad because we
wait hold on I'm just making sure to make this clear. So you think that's why manufacturing jobs are less now?
Yes.
Okay. So
can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So a huge issue.
What happens is that
let me
Hold
go.
on. Watching, I don't think you can hear him. Hold on. Watching, I don't think you can hear him.
Do I have to refresh?
Yeah, refresh.
Yeah. No, I think. Well, I don't think I've experienced this being in the sales world. The manufacturing jobs were being lost. I mean, maybe the trade had something to do with it, but it was the environmental policies. A lot of these factories couldn't operate. They had to purchase all new, whatever type of filtration system. They had to pretty much tear down their current main machines and add these new filtration devices. So, like, it reduces the like the smog by like 10% or whatever, and that was so expensive that for those companies to install those or to put those upgrades in, it cost so much overhead. That way they had to have layoffs. It's all about the bottom line each quarter, and that was a huge thing. Whenever we have left wing coming in, they're going to slap all these environmental policies, and that's going to lose a lot of these blue collar type jobs.
Okay, but both of
So you
those
have to
are
factor
just
that in.
making it more expensive to keep the jobs in the U.S. So that's basically which one is more
That's all
in
I wanted to
effect.
get
It
in.
doesn't really matter. Both are in effect.
It's not just one thing is the issue.
The point is you don't have a real link, okay? If a real link would sound something like this. I can link tariffs to these job losses by either saying that you could maybe, it's a difficult link to make because it's not a real link. The reason it's not a real link is the economy is much more complicated than that. It doesn't operate like you seem to think it does. For example, a company,
why else would
the company that was forced to stay in America for all of its labor needs would probably be long out of business. They'd have no American employees. That's the reality of things, Washington. Under your policies, everybody loses.
That's like saying like somebody is fat because they eat too much food. No, well, yeah, maybe they do eat too much food, but people have different metabolisms, ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph, different genetics. That's not the reason why they're fat because they eat too much food. There's other factors.
So Americans would not benefit by having our jobs come back to the United States.
It doesn't benefit you to limit Americans' ability to make money. It doesn't benefit anybody, okay? When Americans can make less money, which is what you want, when Americans can make less money, which is what... of course it is. Of course, Washington, we already agreed you were killing my ability to hire those people, remember? Remember with your tariffs?
No, you're increasing the ability to hire those people.
What percentage of jobs are hired by small businesses in America, sir?
I feel like more people are affected by
80%.
By a
What's your question? Go ahead.
More poor people than rich people.
And those are just the documented ones.
More people are affected by. More people are going to get more money. Not like more money overall necessarily, but more people are going to have a higher economic status. Quantitatively, more people, if we're able to keep more jobs in America, versus. Like, if the question is keeping more jobs here or allowing
it doesn't work like that.
Trade,
it does.
It doesn't. Now, listen, it does not. Absolutely, it does not. We have Americans who have an opportunity to either make money internationally or not.
By going overseas to cheap
labor? Everyone has that opportunity. Note, first of all, that the money they make, whether they make it here or there, is their money. It belongs to them because they earned it. It is not up for you to steal, okay? So.
Okay. So we're back to this. Okay,
but regardless of that, why do you want to limit Americans' ability to make money internationally? Why?
So you're going back to the individual.
No, I'm telling you that 80% of jobs in America are hired by small businesses, not by big corporations. And small businesses like mine that sell T-shirts to people overseas comprise some of those small businesses. Now, why do you want to hurt us? Why do you want to hurt us? Why do you want to put us out of business? Why do you want to fire all those people? Why do you want to fire all those people? Washington, why do you want to lose all those jobs, Washington? Why?
Calm down.
Why do you want to lose all those jobs? Why do you want to hurt all those Americans?
I love the Americans.
Why do you want to hurt so many of them? Why do you want to hurt so many?
If you're going to be raised in this country, take advantage of our education system and our infrastructure where you can make it big and then decide.
No, I can't anymore. Remember, I can't anymore because of your tariffs. Why do you hurt me so badly? Why do you want to hurt me so badly? Why is my business singled out amongst? Why are so many of my businesses?
We are American person. We care about each other.
Then why don't you care about me?
I don't care about the individual. I care about the collective.
But there is no collective. There is no collective. It's just a bunch of individuals, Washington.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. 80%. 80% of jobs in this country are provided by small businesses, by little business owners like me. 80%. 80%.
But those are service sector jobs that pay shit
Washington,
wages.
that's not necessarily true. You're generalizing beyond any measure of acceptability.
I know it's true because 30% of Americans make 50% of Americans make $30,000 or
so why do you
less.
want them to make less money then, Washington? Why do you want to harm everybody's economic status?
No, they used to
doesn't
make
work
more money.
like that. It doesn't fucking work like that.
It has,
the more important question at hand here is like those small businesses don't trade overseas very often, do they?
Some of them do and some of them don't. If we want to artificially harm the markets, enough that it's significant to those people, who are you to dictate that their business is less viable or less okay a business to run than somebody else's?
If you want to go overseas, fine, but you're going to get hit with a 20, 25, 30% tariff.
Why?
Because we do not want you to.
No, we've already established that doesn't keep jobs. We've already established it doesn't keep jobs.
Of a small
it does keep jobs.
We've already given you an example of a job where people have lost the ability to be hired. Remember?
No, your logic is flawed.
It's not flawed. Explain how.
If that's the case,
explain how.
That's the case, why countries like Japan, China, Taiwan protect their domestic industries and have high tariffs on their imports?
Listen. I'm not saying you're the originator of this stupid idea. It's got a long history. Okay, I agree with you. Now, what the reality is, the global economy has massively improved under globalism and the reduction of tariff rates. And I can show you shit tons of evidence, of fucking evidence that you're reading. Oh my God, I'm pulling up evidence right now. I'm reading fucking cards to you.
Don't you leave.
I'm not leaving. I'm pulling up evidence and reading fucking cards to you because your wrongness is offensive.
Yo, it's offensive. Come on, it's not that bad.
It is.
In Canada,
you're advocating violence against people, and you don't even know it. That's offensive. You're a thug.
Let me just. I'm very gangster, but let me give you the statistics. We have one of the largest wealth gaps, income gaps out of the entire industrialized nation.
Inherency.
Out of 34, we have, and Americans are getting paid half Americans can pay $30,000 or less, which is very close to poverty. You can go bankrupt by just injuring.
Who hires people?
Of a woman.
Who hires people?
Hiring managers.
Employers hire people. But why they hire people is the bigger question.
Okay, so why do you want to harm the people that hire people, the businesses, with your restrictive trade limits? Why?
What's the difference for making $5 billion a year and $3 billion a year by not offshoring your companies to slave wage countries?
When you've got $4 billion in labor costs, it means bankruptcy.
But no, it does not. We've done it for decades.
Did you just hear what I said? Yes, it does, mathematically.
No, you're wrong. Objectively and mathematically wrong. Ever since Alexander Hamilton implemented his laws on trade, we had kept jobs in this country ever since, from that time period in the 1800s.
But what's the link? You never explained why you think there's a link. What's the fucking link? What's the link?
I told you the link, and that is the tax on imports.
Okay, listen, I can show you instances in history when we had laxer tariffs and the economy was doing well. Laxer tariffs and the economy was doing poorly. Stricter tariffs, the economy was doing well. Stricter tariffs, the economy was doing poorly. So why should we conclude that the correlation you want to cherry pick is the one we should prefer? Why?
When is that?
Why should we prefer that the conclusion you want to cherry pick is proof of a link you've not established? You've not even said what the link is. What is the causal mechanism by which the economic policy you advocate causes the impacts you claim? It's basic fucking thinking.
Tariffs are for.
Just
because they're intended for that purpose is not a reason to conclude that they actually accomplish it. Don't tell me to fucking calm down, because I'm the only one who's making any fucking sense around here.
No, yeah, honestly.
What did I just say? What the fuck did I just say? Do you even know?
How is hundreds of years? What is cherry picking hundreds of years in current day? What is cherry picking?
Oh my God, you fucking moron. You piss me off so much. I've never met anybody who pisses me off quite so much as their stupidity.
And the trade policies in other countries that work, how is that cherry picking certain dates? I'm not cherry picking certain dates. I'm going off hundreds of years of history and today's history.
All right, well, let me read you some actual evidence on this subject, okay? Let's go into my Google Docs to do this. Let's see.
I just don't like rules.
Redistribution.
There's too many rules.
Yeah, way too many, and Washington is the source of most of them.
Like people just make stupid fucking rules.
Washington, I want you to bring the gun to force everybody to do all the stupid shit you want them to do. Okay, you bring the gun and you put them in their face and you shove it down your fucking throats and say, "You must do this shit."
I will, because I'm a thug. I'm gonna go in there.
All right, you go ahead and do it. Then fine. You go ahead and do what you got to do, but don't be advocating the public policy.
One day I'm gonna bring you around.
A round of is that a gun reference? Like a round, like a bullet?
No, that's fucked up, I don't think so.
I know, I'm kidding.
One day you're gonna give
hey,
a heart attack.
Washington, I want to show you something real quick. Okay.
Y'all gotta get words into it. Quiet.
Yeah. Okay. This is an economic. This, you've seen this. I've showed you this before. Supply and demand graph. Price 1, the effect of a tariff as it moves to price 2. Well, I'm not going to get into all that, but the point is, this is a basic description of the effects of a tariff. And ultimately, the conclusion is always a net welfare loss to the tariff imposing country. Tariffs create economic loss as almost a complete rule. That's just
a net welfare loss.
Yes, because cost of the goods goes up, quantity goes down. So people are spending more money for less.
But what you're not factoring in is that wages go up also.
Like
along with the union.
That is factored in. There is a domestic supplier gain increase factored in.
When wages go up.
Oh, tariffs. So the more taxes. Look at it this way: if you're given, like when I'm on my expense report,
I'm going to say that I've said this before. Money, I'd rather get paid 20% more in wages and pay 5% more.
Wash, how are you not? After all these things have been factored in, there is still a net welfare loss.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. The way that it actually works
what is
that you get
welfare
20%
loss?
more.
What is
net welfare? 20% more in wages, you end up paying 30% more in your consumer price index.
So why haven't that been happening pre-1980s when we've been doing it for hundreds of years? And why that's not happening?
Listen, watch now. Let me read you some evidence. Okay, this is Burgeon E. 2004. This is an important card. I think you need to see it because it kind of explains things a bit. What it says here is the important point here is that redistribution of wealth, not income, that may produce this favorable effect on economic efficiency and growth. In fact, income transfers that are not lump sum, in other words, the kind of lump sums you're in favor of, would have exactly the opposite effect on growth. In other words, shrink the economy. By lowering the expected return from acquiring physical and human capital, they distort the economy and reduce saving and investment, and therefore the rate of growth. In order to be efficient in growth enhancing, redistribution should be concerned with wealth rather than current income or consumption expenditures. Okay, so what that tells us is when you're trying to control wealth and redistribute that, and I'll put it back over there if you want.
What source is that?
This is Burgeon E 2004. If you Google it in Google Scholar, it'll pop up.
That's on the website.
No, this is from Google Scholar. It only uses scholarly articles.
Somebody's
essay. Go to Google Scholar and type this in. Burgeon D.
All right, wait.
You don't put the D. You just put the Burgeon 2004. Okay. Here we go. I'll find it for you.
I can put it simply. So, if you're given, the more taxes you're paying, you're just giving the government, other people, they're going to be spending your money. And if I'm given my expense report, when I'm given free money, basically, I'm not going to be very cautious. I'm going to buy whatever. So they're not really that cautious with the money. They're not spending it effectively. Does that make sense?
I get the general idea, but it sounds very abstract. Like the welfare goes down because of
it's very
index, blah,
vague.
Blah, blah. I don't understand economic theory enough.
It doesn't explain anything.
More taxes are not good because letting
But
other
what we do know
people.
is that other countries protect their domestic industries, and we're one of the only ones who the village idiots and the trade deals who don't. Which is why companies go over to cheap labor countries. We still have slavery in this country. We just offshore to China and pay people's penny an hour
You
and ship
keep
that
coming
finished
to
good.
conclusions that are false.
No, that is objective truth. What I just stated is history.
What?
And today is not history. It's today and what has happened. That is objective. That is not false. We did.
Go ahead.
Did we not lower our tariffs from between 20 and 30% to about 2% down? Why do you think Trump is talking about increasing tariffs again? Because he understands that
Because
we've
he's
been.
belligerent and he's fighting with China because he wants them to remove their tariffs.
Well, why China have tariffs then? Are they doing
Why does
something
China
wrong?
have tariffs?
It seems like they're protecting their industries. Why can't we? They already have a tariff on. They already have
It's a
equivalent.
conflict. It's a trade war. Okay, if you can
If there's a
get,
trade war, we've been in a trade war for
I promise you,
years.
China is not. Why do you think that China is the model of economics that we should copy? Why should we copy China's economic behavior?
That was originally our idea. We came up with that. We took it from other countries, but originally before China, we came up with those trade deals. China stole it from us, and we became the village
No, it
idiots
doesn't.
because our politicians were paid off by
It
corporations
doesn't fucking
to do
matter
that.
where the policy came from. Why do you think that
You
right now
just said
Why do you think China's policy is better than ours and we should be mimicking theirs?
because China is keeping their industries, and they know, and which is why China economy boomed in the shortest amount of time. 30 years ago, China used to be a slump, a dump.
30
But
years ago, China didn't interact with the rest of the fucking world.
Yeah, exactly. There was the highest, the tallest building in China was some restaurant. Like I think it was a McDonald's tower or something like that. There was a slump. Now they are one of the second largest economies in the world because
and
they
what
implemented.
did they do to make that change? What's the most important thing
they implemented a lot of
capitalism.
The policies we used to have
Capitalism.
in this country.
Opened international trade. They made it easier to trade with other fucking countries.
But they protected their domestic industries.
The results were from making it easier to trade with other countries, not from making it harder.
Right.
Why do you think companies are not
They
shipping away from China?
dramatically reduced their protectionism. That's what caused their economic growth. They dramatically, by a substantial amount, reduced their protectionism.
Also, there's communism.
No, you have to compare against what they had before, Washington. You have to compare against what they had before, not against zero.
Which was nothing. Was nothing.
They had no trade. Oh my God. You don't know anything.
I was just saying they had nothing, but now they have an equivalent of the tariffs that we used to have to protect their domestic industries. But we stopped.
Okay,
why do you think they're booming? But we used to boom.
Okay, so how do you explain?
Okay, when did Mao Zedong happen?
I have no idea.
Mao Zedong do all that shit. I don't know when he did it, but that has a significant impact because wealth is more concentrated to the business owners, and they can just concentrate on increasing profit within their business and subjugate the lower classes to low wages to increase profit.
Let me read some of this. It's intelligent and explains the thing, and hopefully we can all understand. Okay, a recurring issue in discussions on development is whether the main focus of development strategy should be placed on growth or poverty and or on inequality. This paper argues that this way of formulating the question of development goals poses a false dilemma. Rather, the answer can simply be expressed in two statements. First, the rapid elimination of absolute poverty under all forms is a meaningful goal for development. Second, to achieve the goal of rapidly reducing absolute poverty requires strong country-specific combinations of growth and distribution policies. These two statements raise conceptual, measurement, theoretical, and empirical issues, including clarifying the distinction between absolute and relative poverty. Absolute poverty is defined in reference to a poverty line that has a fixed purchasing power determined so as to cover needs that are physically and socially essential. Setting absolute poverty reduction as a prime development goal is thus simply saying a fundamental objective of development is to ensure that everybody satisfies his or her basic needs. The poverty line may be multidimensional, incorporating both an economic and income poverty line for needs that can be met monetarily and non-monetary lines for other needs. Absolute poverty lines need not be the same across countries, even after correcting for purchasing power parity for income poverty, so basic needs are bound to differ across societies, nor do they need to be remain fixed over time as basic needs are likely to evolve. This absolute definition of poverty in use in many countries must be contrasted with a relative definition of poverty, where the poverty line is established not in terms of some well-defined basic needs, but as a fixed proportion of some income standard of the population. For example, the mean or median income. The European Union considers as poor those whose economic resources are below 50% of the mean income in member countries. Of course, one might consider such a relative definition of income poverty as the limit of the absolute definition of poverty when the updating of the poverty line is continuous and explicitly based on mean income changes rather than being made at rather long-term intervals on a more discretionary basis. But for what matters for the purpose of this paper is that such a relative definition of poverty, sometimes referred to as relative deprivation, becomes in some sense independent of growth. The absolute level of income and therefore a large part of the development process does not matter anymore with such a definition. Only relative incomes or pure distributional features matter. Pure distributional features means it's specifically a mathematical phenomenon. Fixing the poverty line relative to average income can show rising poverty even when the standard of living of the poor has in fact risen. There is increasing consensus among economists that relative deprivation matters, but there does not appear to be any consensus that individual welfare depends only on one relative position and not at all on absolute standard of living as determined by incomes. Once it is accepted the reduction of absolute income poverty is a meaningful development goal, then a direct line may be established between development, growth, and distribution. An arithmetic identity links the growth of the mean income in a given population with a change in distribution or in relative incomes, and the reduction of absolute poverty, in other words, poverty reduction in a given country at any given point in time, is fully determined by the rate of growth of the mean income of the population and the change in the distribution of income. In other words,
how did you do that in one breath?
In other words, you're playing in imagination land. That's basically what this is saying.
What is imagination?
It's saying that
I was trying to keep up with that.
You're not acknowledging that a change in the distribution of income. Let's do section 1 here. Can be decomposed into two effects. First, there is an effect of a proportional change in all incomes that leaves the distribution of relative income unchanged, i.e., a growth effect. Second, there is an effect of a change in the distribution of relative incomes, which by definition is independent of the mean, i.e., a distributional effect. So if you want to talk about income inequality, you need to talk about the changes in income inequality measurements can be measured both in terms of their growth effect and in terms of their distributional effect, and those are two different mathematical understandings of it. If you have a position on this and you don't understand this, you should wonder why you have a position on it. Absolute poverty and poverty reduction, distribution and distributional changes, aggregate income level, and growth. These things link together as a three set, and it matters what actually happens when we do actual things that you advocate for. Not just what you think's going to happen for no reason, but what actually happens, okay? Poverty is measured by the absolute poverty head count of inequality first of all. Okay. A change of poverty can then be shown to be a function of growth distribution and the change in distribution. This is illustrated in figure 1, where the poverty head count is simply under blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let me go down to this other part. Path dependency, okay? There is some path dependence in that decomposition. Instead of moving first rightwards and then up and down as in the figure, it would have been possible to move first up and down and then to move rightwards. Presumably, these two paths are not necessarily equivalent except for infinitesimal changes. This is an issue that shall be ignored here, assuming in effect that all changes are sufficiently small for path dependence not to be a problem. The extent that something's path dependent, that means that the devils are in the details, okay? That how this thing plays out depends entirely on the specific path of execution you take. And so when you want to advocate things without giving me those details, you're just saying, I don't know about path dependency. I don't understand that concept, and therefore my politics are totally wrong. A formal statement of that is, this is change poverty equals, this is the formula. And then the striking fact in figure 2 is the importance of the distribution-related change in poverty. Of course, it is not the mean change which matters here. In effect, it is arbitrarily set to 0 in the identification of the distribution effect, but the dispersion of that effect. Observation of figure 2 suggests the variations of the poverty head count larger than 20% in absolute value over a few years are quite common. Indeed, about 30% of the observations in figure 2 are in that range, and about twice that proportion show distributional-related changes in poverty larger than 10%. It follows from this simple exercise that distribution matters. Over the medium run, distributional changes may be responsible for size change in poverty. In some instances, these changes may even offset blah, 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 blah. Yet, because of changes in the distribution that contributed a 30% increase in poverty, the final effect has been a net increase in poverty of 6%. The case of Indonesia between 96 and 99 is the opposite. Their distributional changes compensated for an adverse effect of growth on poverty. So basically, it's path dependent. It depends on the circumstances and how it's executed a certain way. What it says later in this article, it makes clear, is that only lump sum, that's what I quoted in this other thing here, that only lump sum redistribution works. Existing redistribution schemes, this is my language here, existing redistribution schemes are doomed to fail because they are not lump sum. Redistribution of wealth, not of income, may produce this favorable effect on economic efficiency and growth. Income transfers that are not lump sum have exactly the opposite effect of growth. Now, when you talk about taxing people, that's an income transfer that's not lump sum, because that money doesn't go directly back to the people in terms of checks. If it was a UBI, it might be effective. But because it's not, because it's always used for redistributionist policies, it has the net opposite effect on growth, and growth is one of this three triangle thing. And it turns out the growth is the most important. I'll cut to the chase here, and the growth is hard. It's
there
hard.
Timeline that's given?
I mean,
so Eric, do you support UBI?
I do, actually, but only as funded by my cryptocurrency plan.
Oh.
So when we tax, it had a negative effect on the economy. That's what it's saying.
Unless those taxes are converted directly into lump sum payments to people, in which case it would have a positive effect. Then it's true redistribution. Because the problem with using the government to do progressive policies is that's not redistribution, that's highway robbery. It's taking the taxes, and a substantial amount of it goes to the government that processes the taking of the taxes and redistribute them into
roads,
means tested.
Parks,
no,
schools.
Okay, fine. Listen, I'm not opposing roads and parks for sure. Okay. Now, what I am opposing are horrible ideas, things that you've advocated for in the past. I know for sure things like means testing, which always produces bad results. But
mean testing for Social Security. You was right as far as mean testing when we was speaking. I think it was the last time we spoke.
Okay, but you're also in favor of in-kind benefits, things like lunch programs and stuff that always harm the economy.
How?
Okay,
that's insignificant to the economy.
5 significant ways. Okay, they infantilize the recipients. Number 2, they distort markets. Number 3, they
infantilize. They distort markets.
They infantilize the recipient. They distort markets. They incentivize poverty. Remember, that's an important one.
Incentivize poverty.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Where did the conclusions comes up for that? Hey, that aside, let's say this. You want to know what the best welfare program is? The best welfare program is a job. Would you agree?
That's not a welfare program.
I'm being obviously.
You mean it's better for people to earn their money than to steal it and get handouts? Yeah.
Well, that's essentially what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's better for people to work and earn enough to be able to provide for themselves and their family than to be on government assistance. Now, granted that you and I agree on that, I assume.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I agree that it's better for people to earn money than to receive stolen money as gifts.
I do not agree. I do not agree. I think people should have more freedom to do what they want, and then they might get a job.
Stay on welfare.
They have freedom to do what they want, but they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be incentivized to be shiftless.
I don't think that's necessarily incentive. I think it's more shiftless to do a job against your will than to have time to actually think about like who you are and what you actually want.
Well, you pick your job. I mean, most people naturally wants to work.
There's not enough jobs available for everybody. Like
there are.
You're right. You're right. Technically,
there are. Right. The unemployment rate's as low as it's ever been.
Yeah, but what he's saying that is never going to hit 0%.
Okay, but that's not oh, Jesus
No,
Christ.
I'm saying the unemployment rate exists because there aren't enough jobs.
No, it doesn't necessarily. There's lots of reasons. I mean, look, it's true that the unemployment rate is supposedly accounting for, that these people are looking for jobs and can't find them. But Jesus Christ, why don't you worry about yourself? Why does everybody worry about themselves, right?
Because we're not an individual country. No developed country do it by themselves.
So why do you want to harm your other citizens?
I don't want to harm you. We work together to get.
But you want to steal my money and stop me from selling stuff.
I don't want to steal your money. I want you to become wealthy and have an equal opportunity as everybody else to to achieve the American dream.
Then why do you want to
beyond
stop me from selling things overseas?
It's because my satanic socialist agenda defines my soul or lack thereof.
Oh,
nice.
Thank you.
No, I've been saying, yeah, that's beautiful. I've been saying you can sell whatever you want overseas, but don't bring don't take the company overseas.
But you're
and
missing the
the
point.
finished
You're
product.
missing
No,
the
that's
point.
the point.
Their responsive
No,
tariffs, their trade war tariffs in response to our tariffs are going to prevent me from effectively selling overseas.
We've been in a trade
Okay,
war for
Washington, listen, isn't it
We've been
possible?
losing.
Isn't it possible at some point that some sort of tariffs would prevent me from successfully selling overseas? Yes or no?
You know, you can sell overseas. Fine. Just don't bring the finished product back. Let me
You're not
frame this in a
hearing
different
me.
way.
You're not
You
hearing
taught
me.
me about framing, and I should learn how to do that more often to make a good point, or what I believe to be a good point. Our trade deficit. You know what our trade deficit is. You probably don't know the specific number. I'm not going to give you the specific numbers, but it's trillions of dollars. I think it's about $4 trillion, $5 trillion our trade deficit. You know, we used to be the world creditor of. We used to be the creditor of the world, the United States, before 1980, but now we're the world's debtor. And you know what that means? And that's due to our free trade. That's due to free trade. That means that the countries that have trillions of dollars of our money due to our free trade come over here with our money, foreign countries I'm talking about, and they buy up our homes, they buy up our land, they buy up our banks, our buildings, and other property. Foreign countries, because we have $1 trillion in debt due to free trade, come over here and buy up our country. Now, but you don't see that with most of the countries we trade with, China, Taiwan, Japan. You don't see that. So why we have to continue to be the village idiots when American people be screwed because an individual wants to make $20 billion compared to $10 billion? How's that fair to the rest of us? We do things together. We are a we nation, not a me nation.
No, we're not.
We decide that economy works for us. We do not work for the economy. We decide the economy work for us. That's what we built this nation for.
Who's we,
to look out
though?
for
Who's
each
we?
other.
Because you and I don't agree at all, right? So which one of us gets to be right?
Yeah.
We're mutually exclusive.
Well, collectively, I would say I'm right, but but we decide. We the people. The first words of the Constitution. We the people. When we set up this government,
Okay,
we're
let
not
me
working
ask
off
you
the
an important
Articles of
question.
Confederation.
Let me ask you a real important question real quick. Okay, Washington. How much foreign debt is owned by Americans?
I have to look it up. Not a lot. Not compared to our, because we're a debtor now. We're not a creditor like we used to.
You sure about that?
Yeah, you can look it up and inform me.
Okay, wait, shouldn't you know that before you have an opinion on this?
Well, I know that we're in a huge trade deficit.
Debt owed to the U.S. 9.5. Debt owed to the U.S. by foreigners 9.454 billion or trillion. I don't know what it is. I can't see that small the word underneath it, but let's see if I can zoom in a bit here. And the total owed by the U.S. 6 trillion. So it's actually 9 trillions owed. I'm sorry, it's in billions. 9,454.8 billion owed to the U.S. by foreigners. 6.003 owed by the U.S. to foreigners. So they owe more debt to us than we do to them.
That's interesting. Scroll up.
Oops, sorry, I just closed it.
That's trade deficit versus our credit.
Debt
right?
owed. No, debts owed to versus debts owed by. See? Debts owed to versus debts owed by.
Despite substantial debt that Americans owe to countries like, there it goes.
When I talked to Sean the other day, I said, you talked to Brandon, because, well then.
Go away. Okay,
Wait, so we're not the only people with huge amounts of debt? Holy shit.
Okay, so the point is...
So basically, we're not in debt.
No, we are in debt. I'm trying to look up.
Everyone's in debt. Everyone's in debt.
Yeah.
But the point
The global
is,
economy runs on debt.
Well, that's something I have to look up.
Did you know that in late 2016, Japan overtook China as the biggest foreign holder of U.S. debt? Japan and China are by far the two biggest holders of U.S. foreign debt. But the top 5 is filled with countries you might not expect. How about Ireland, Cayman Islands, and Brazil? Did you expect them to be substantial holders of U.S. debt? Then there are the countries that owe America money. And even though Japan holds the biggest amount of U.S. debt, the U.S. is also owed a lot of money by them too. Debts and investments are reciprocal relationships. Debts are often created as a natural part of doing international business. So they aren't always as big, bad, and scary as people make them out to be. Still, speculative reports by the Congressional Budget Office in 2014 indicate that America needs to cut back its debts in general. I agree with the Congressional Budget Office there. The nation cannot continue to sustain the spending programs and policies of the past with the tax revenues it has been accustomed to paying. Citizens will either have to pay more for their government, accept less government services or benefits, or both. And the latter is definitely preferable. They accept less in government services and benefits because we remember government services and benefits, usually in kind, have 5 distinct harms that include infantilizing the recipient, incentivizing poverty, distorting the markets, being incurring bureaucratic waste, and being not actually effective at accomplishing the thing they want to accomplish. Okay, so there's 5 distinct reasons why we don't want to ever do any of those policies that you like so much. The situation is more complicated than Washington understands. So we've taken the liberty of mapping out the foreign U.S. debts. With this infographic, you can see which countries owe the U.S. money and which countries blah, blah, blah. So no, you're wrong about that. And more importantly, what it says there, it's an important part of doing international business to be able to deal with these people as individuals instead of as representatives of a team that I refuse to be on. I'm not on your team, Washington. I'm not part of a we. No, I am not part of your policy we. You advocate for violence and stuff. I don't advocate for those things.
No, you'll be by what country does that and works?
Okay,
that you like
Washington, we're not talking about other countries right now. I'm talking about you. You're advocating for violence.
There have to be somewhere in history that, or today,
I'm trying to explain to you. Listen, but you were just wrong about everything you said. So why don't you were totally wrong about the facts. You were relying on to justify your position. So why did you change your position now?
About a trade debt? Is that it? I need to look that up again, but I thought we were more in debt with other countries.
Well, you're wrong, though. You were wrong. You were wrong, though. So why do you still hold the same position?
I'll look that up, but
I just showed you. We just looked at it.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But you're making a huge leap to us being better as an individual.
No, I'm pointing out that only individuals do stuff. I'm pointing out that individual businesses go to do business with other countries, with other individual businesses, with other businesses, business to business. Hey, listen. When you go to eat lunch, stop. Washington, stop. When you go to eat lunch and you choose a restaurant, you go to McDonald's. That's you doing business with McDonald's, okay? You're not having lunch at McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell because we're all you make a choice to do a contractual arrangement with that person.
That burger, who regulates it so make sure that you're not eating salmonella?
McDonald's.
No. The government regulates to make sure.
No.
Yes, we do have food.
Stop. Listen. Who actually makes the food safe? Who actually makes it safe? Stop! Answer the fucking question. Who actually makes the food safe? Who actually does it? Who does it?
But they're forced to.
No, shut up, watch it. Who the fuck does it?
The government regulates that.
Who does it? Who keeps the food safe? Who keeps the food safe, Washington?
Our government makes sure that the
Washington.
Food stays
Who
safe.
Keeps the food safe?
If you take that away, there'll be more sick people.
Who keeps the food safe?
We keep the food safe. We the people.
You don't keep the food safe, Washington.
We do not do anything alone.
Stop fucking lying, you piece of shit.
Did you go to a public school? Or did you teach yourself?
It's the people who work at McDonald's, you motherfucker.
Did you go to our public parks? Did you use our public police departments? Nobody does this on their own, Pudding.
Washington.
We are not an individualistic country.
Stop being retarded. Washington.
In the Constitution, we the people.
Washington, shut the fuck up and listen to me.
You are wrong.
Washington, Washington, listen. Washington, the government doesn't work at McDonald's. Washington, the government doesn't work at McDonald's. Hey, fucktard, the government doesn't work at McDonald's. You piece of shit. God. Do you not know
You're
that?
Wrong.
Are you saying the government works at McDonald's? All right, well, great. Have a pleasant evening, Washington.
There's food safety laws. There are food safety laws
you
in this
worthless sack of
country.
shit! Thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty cheese.